Hi, everyone. Welcome back. It has been months since I have been on here. I have a couple of old episodes that were recorded last year, at the end of last year, and I'm releasing them. I'm finally taking the time to get them edited, get them ready for prime time with you all. And up first is a conversation I had with Reiki master practitioner and teacher April Curry. She's also an Akashic Records reader, and we had this conversation back in October. So I hope you enjoy. Please know that there are several episodes that are long overdue. And I was going through my own big transformational shift. If you are on my email list, you know this already. I quit my job of a very long time and switched career paths just a little bit. I'm still in the marketing realm, but now I am working in a completely different field. And I have not really had the time or the space. I have not created the time or the space to do the things with the vibrational shift that I had originally anticipated and planned. Just like any season in life, there are changes and vibrational shifts that happen along the way. I am going to be recording a solo episode about my own vibrational shift that I've been through. I have kind of been putting it off. I've been thinking about it for months now because I was in the middle of one. And I think I named it in maybe one of the episodes that I have yet to release, where I had said, I feel like I'm about to be going through a very big shift. And lo and behold, I did. And I am now finally starting to get to a place where I'm like, all right, it's time. It's time to share your story, time to also look at what's in the bank of content that never made its way out to you. So, up first is this episode with April Curry. But a quick note from me: I am in the final stages of filling spots for a retreat that I'm doing this fall, this September in Tulum, Mexico. Some of you might remember past episodes from season 2 where I brought on past retreat goers who got to experience at the Temazcal, which is a Mesoamerican sweat lodge ceremony. We'll be doing that again this time around. And I am looking forward to be able to do this again with my co-facilitator, Janelle Cortez. She is the founder and CEO of Groove Trips. And we are going to be taking a group of people down to Tulum, 5 days, 4 nights, your chance to really immerse yourself in the beauty of Tulum. We are going to be staying at Cabalum, which is absolutely stunning. They are luxurious private villas. If you would like to get more information, I'm going to include it in the show notes. You can head over to lunaserenity.com, click on retreats, and you will see the Equinox Empowerment Retreat. We'll be there during the fall equinox, which is the perfect time to explore what does balance mean to you in your life. I'm not talking about like your work life or your personal life, because it is all one life. And there is a requirement of balance so that you are able to pour yourself into the things that light you up in a beautiful way. So 5 days, 4 nights, we're going to be doing yoga, breath work, sound healing, temazcal, a trip to a cenote. We're also going to be doing some dance. So Janelle is a choreographer. She's been a choreographer for well over 2 decades, and her specialty is belly dance, but she also does Latin dance and other types of styles of dancing. And this retreat is open to everyone. So if you want to come with your best friend and you want to share a bed, we got that kind of room available. If you want to come and bring your partner, they're welcome as well. If you want to come and you want to just like stay by yourself in a single room, we have one of those left. And we also have a couple of other options left for those of you who are like, I want to go, I don't have anyone to come with me. That's all right too, because we have those spots available for you. If you'd like more information, make sure to email me, hello@lunaserenity.com. Or if you're ready to book, just go to the website and click on the retreat section and get your spot. Without further ado, please enjoy this conversation with April Curry, recorded in October of 2023. And I hope you enjoy the beautiful meditation and Reiki she does at the end.
See ya.
On today, we have April Curry. She is a amazing soul. I actually came across her through Clubhouse. A friend of mine who's actually been on the podcast as well, Roxy, had told me about this room that she had found herself in and was talking all about how April was so amazing. And I had the next time that she was on, she was going to tell me. And I'll never forget, I think she like texted me and I was like, I got to jump in there quickly. And I went in and I think you could record them at that point, but I know that it was recorded. I like came back to this recording multiple times. And you were leading everyone through a beautiful meditation. And I hadn't dropped in that quickly in a long time. This was maybe back in 2021. I've shared this with on the podcast before. I was having really bad postpartum anxiety, and it was hard for me to really ground and connect with myself at that point in time. And I remember I was looking for all of the different tools that I already had in my tool belt, but whenever I could find a practitioner that could allow me to drop in that quickly, I was over the moon when I found you. And I started listening into the rooms that she was having. And once I got a chance to do a live reading with you, I think I did like a mini one. You used to do like 10-minute ones in those rooms. And I did a longer one with you. And I was just so grateful that our paths had crossed. And so I've followed April for, I guess, almost 2 years now, because we're coming at the end of 2023. And I was thinking of who do I want on season 3, and April was one of the names that came to mind. She's been a mentor to my friend that I mentioned, Roxy, and I've heard so many great stories about you and the offerings you have and what you've been able to guide her on her journey that I wanted to take the opportunity and have you get to share a little bit about your own story here with us today. So welcome on, April. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so hi everyone. I'm an Akashic Records reader and intuitive Reiki master. My fullest, like most beautiful expression in this world is to help people deep dive into their intuitive abilities. If you deep dive into your intuitive abilities, no matter what you're doing in your life, it brings this sense of ease, grace, and abundance to your life. And it just makes life so much easier. So, in society, we spend so much time looking at the rational and like, how can we, succeed and work in this world? But we've totally missed out on deep diving into our intuition and having them both work together. And my whole purpose is to help people find deep that deep connection within. That's
Beautiful. So can you tell us a little bit, April, about maybe a time in your life that you were in like a chapter of transition, or that you were moving through or could feel that you needed to move through the next iteration, right? I feel like one of the things that over the last, well, several episodes that I've done with different people and even in my own life, like the common theme that comes through is that there is something that needs to change. And it, for some people, they feel it in their body. Sometimes their body is telling them without them even recognizing it, or they're using their intuition without fully harnessing or knowing what that intuition is guiding them towards. I'm curious for you, a time in your life where you were like, something has to change, and what the cues were that you were starting to pick up on.
Yeah. I'm gonna get super vulnerable because it started when I was a teenager.
Mm,
I had a really tough upbringing, and I was very sensitive. I was really empathic. I was absorbing everything as a child. And when I hit about 16, 17, it was almost like I've carried so much of everyone else's stuff that I kind of had like erratic behaviors.
mm,
And it was actually just me expressing energy that I needed to get out of my system. So I ended up going into corporate America with all that energy. And I wasn't fitting in the box. There was something that I knew there was something missing. I knew that there was something more to life, and the role that I was playing didn't feel authentic. And so the biggest shift that I started to have was like, I need to get out. So I ended up buying a camper and I got into Zazen meditation, which is a meditation where you're just listening to your breath. And I met this archaeologist who taught me how to do that on my camper journey. I just happened to run into an archaeologist that showed me how to meditate. And I got into drawing. I just traveled. I lived in the woods, and I started to get this center point that I never experienced before in my life. And when I was at the center point, I was just feeling very calm, serene, happy, blissful. Nothing could shake me. And at that point, I started to hear like the gentle whisper of intuition. I didn't really know that it was intuition at the time, but I knew that there was like an inner voice telling me to do something. So also my intuition was being used just to get out of corporate America. So I didn't know that either. Once I started to feel really deeply into my connection, I was like, well, there's still some body stuff that I'm feeling. Like I feel really tense. I had a lot of anxiety at that point, and I had a thyroid condition, and I had rheumatoid arthritis. So
Mm.
this is all from childhood, just kind of compiling. Even though I've done all this meditation, my mind was changing, but there were still these physical symptoms that I had. So I decided intuitively to go to get a Reiki session. And I'm smiling because it like completely changed my life and my purpose and everything. I got Reiki from this beautiful woman in Wisconsin. And she's like, "You're going to be doing Reiki." And I'm like, "Okay." And I knew I was. Like, after that first session, I felt so alive. I felt like my body, like, I felt like my body was so healthy and I felt so alive. So I got attuned to Reiki. And once I got attuned to Reiki, mind you, I'm still traveling in a camper. And I had this little voice again. And it was like, "You're done with this lifestyle." And I'm like, "What?" Because I traveled in the camper, I mean, for years, and I didn't really understand why I was in the woods for so long. And we're talking like five years meditating.
Wow.
And totally, when I was in this camper, I was like, wow, so many of my friends are living their life, and I'm still here like really nourishing myself, but what's next? And I always got told to stay. So once I heard the whisper for the first time, like, "You're done with this lifestyle," I followed it. And I was really like knocked into my purpose. I ended up moving to Maui and started a Reiki business. And I tuned into the Akashic records a little bit before I went to Maui through this wonderful lady that I met. And from there, I I was just reading the records for myself. I had no plans on reading for anyone else. It was for my own self growth. I was just doing Reiki. And once again, I got this intuitive nudge. And I was just asking questions privately, alone by myself, like, am I doing the right thing? Um, is it okay that I'm this deeply connected where I'm seeing things that I haven't seen before? And the next day, someone told someone that I was a reader. And so I started reading for people. And gosh, I think it was like a few months later, I was outside. I was living in Maui at the time. I was outside on this beautiful deck looking at the sunrise. And I felt the energy of Jesus come towards me. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting, because I did grow up Christian, but I never saw Jesus like in a physical form.
Mm.
And he goes, "It's time." And I am like, okay, what does that mean? And I had this guttural response to go on Clubhouse. And that's how it all began. So the shift started, I've had many shifts. And, my shift started from rock bottom, really, truly. And each shift profoundly changed my life. And I'm going to say it again, each shift had such a beautiful texture and moment. And I feel that it's important to never judge the process and to appreciate each level or each moment. And I'm looking forward to many shifts to come.
That's beautiful, April. And there's so many different threads to pick up from there, right? The fact that you were in the woods for years, and then of all people, what you came across was an archaeologist who introduced you to something that would change your life. Isn't it beautiful when you find, I wouldn't even say find, it's like we've planted them here in this lifetime to help us remember what we're capable of. And so for you as the archaeologist, and then you went to Wisconsin and you had your first ever Reiki session. I was smiling so big when you said that because it reminded me of my first full Reiki experience. The first time I ever experienced Reiki, I was actually in the middle of a yoga teacher training. They were doing a Reiki training in one of the studio rooms next door, and they were looking for someone who could just be a body to lay there. And I literally only received 5 minutes and was like, what was that? And then that following week, I was traveling for my job, and I was in San Francisco, and something called to me and was like, find a store. Cause this is, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago. There aren't that many shops here. So I'm right outside of Washington, DC. Find a store that has crystals. And I found this one place, and I was walking by. I was like, do I go in? I was like, yeah, because it was close to where I was staying. And I went in, and they were I still haven't seen a crystal store this big over here, but I walked in, I felt like I was levitating. I walked in, I was like, I could not stop staring at everything, in all of the bins and everything around me. And I started talking to the guy behind the counter who was just so friendly and giving me so much information. He's like, actually, we have someone right now who could do a session with you. And I think I ended up I came back. I did a I think she read my astrological chart the first day, and then they were like, you should come back because tomorrow we have someone who can do a Reiki session for you. And so it was a Reiki crystal healing. And when you said your experience, it reminded me, it felt like when I received that full Reiki session, my body settled in a way that it had never experienced before. And it was almost like a switch had been flipped on. It was like a remembering, that sensation of, oh, you've done this before, you know what this is. And there was just this beautiful feeling of, I want more of this. And it was no coincidence, right? To go look for a place that had it, and then to walk by it and see it and actually walk in. It just reminded me as you were talking, you learning to listen to that whisper of there's something more here, and not being afraid to move in that direction.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
what's beautiful about Reiki is, I was already listening to that nudge, and Reiki opened up my full intuitive channel. And how I ended up organizing my intuitive channel was through the records. And the Reiki and the Akashic records has pretty much almost the same vibration. So they're kind of in the same family. So anyone that gets into Reiki, they're very much, it's a natural hop to go to the Akashic records. And the Akashic records was just as meaningful to me because all those questions I always had about me, what am I? Or why do I do this? I didn't need a third party to tell me. I literally could just go in my own channel and be my own inner guru. So Reiki subsided all of my physical ailments, all of my mental, along with meditation. And then the Akashic records organized it. So
I love the way that you put that into the way that it was actually supporting you in those two different ways. Can you talk a little bit more about the Akashic records? What are they for anyone who maybe has never heard that word before and has no sense of what Akashic record readings look like, what first, what are they? And then what does a reading look like with you?
So anyone that gets really excited when they hear the word Akashic record, because I got a reading for the first time and she kept saying in the Akasha. And I'm like, what's the Akasha? She's like, you need to get out of the woods and read more books. And I was like, well, I'm interested in it. And she's like, anyone that's interested in it that hears the word, and then you're a reader, like no doubt. And I say that to everyone because it's so true. But the Akashic record is the record of your soul. It's an etheric plane that has the information of everything that's ever existed, past, present, future. And you can think of it as kind of like this energetic Google. It works just like Google. So in Google, how you put the word in restaurant, like, you know how you get all those search results and you're like, whoa, that's way too much. And that's not what I was looking for. The records acts the same way. So if you put in Google Italian restaurant near me, it's really precise. It gives you all the information. So what the Akashic Records does is the more that you ask it specific questions, the more thorough the questions you ask it, it's like, oh, you're ready for this responsibility. Let me give you some information from the database. So you can ask questions like, what is my life purpose? What past life was I most intuitive? And when you see past lives, you can embody the energies of past lives, and you can also release some of those unconscious patternings that come from past lives. In my reading, because I just call it the reading, because I tune into the Akashic records, but I also tune into people's higher self perspective, their human perspective, and their subconscious perspective. Because if you have a situation where someone's higher self is not agreeing with their human perspective, their subconscious gets really anxious, and that blocks them off to opportunities. But if you can get the human and the higher self to mediate, to work together, and your subconscious is calm, then you become a master receiver. So if you learn something like, what is my life purpose? And your goal is, or your purpose is to be a public speaker, to help somebody, or to be a healer. And your higher self's like, quit your job. And then your human's like, no, we got to pay bills. And you're like, okay, how can we work at this? How can we work together? And so you can go up to the higher self and be like, okay, we need to quit our job. But human, is it okay if we work on getting out of this position that we're in and look for other opportunities in the process? And it goes, yeah, that's okay. And then they start to all agree with each other. And then if you have that subconscious energy that feels like super smooth and happy, then the opportunities pour in. So it's really beautiful. I use my mediumship to do that. So I use my mediumship and I tune into the person's records. So it's kind of like a 2-in-1 kind of reading. And I'm sending Reiki at the same time. So it's a three.
It's pretty amazing for anyone listening. I've had the opportunity to do a session with April, and you walk out of there like feeling like it is all of those things in once. It's like you come out feeling refreshed, rejuvenated, relaxed. You feel like you have clarity on the questions that came up, and almost like taking a breath of fresh air because of what you were saying. Like when your higher self and the human self are not in alignment, at least for me, what you said rang very true. It's like there is that sense of anxiety, like you're living in this friction and you can't quite figure out what it is. And so I want to go back now that you were saying that, because I, like, my body remembered the feeling of what it felt like, and I had this emotional feeling right now as you were talking about remembering how I felt after our conversation, and that was a long time ago that we did that. So I'm like, I wonder if I still have the recording. I'm gonna have to go look for it and listen to it again, because I'm sure with some perspective now, it's always nice to be able to go back and look and be like, oh, look at all of this that has come to pass since that conversation happened. Yeah, so you're relying on a couple of different tools: mediumship, Reiki, the Akashic records. You've talked to us a little bit about the Akashic records. Can you tell us a little bit more about your offerings? Like, what are some of the offerings that you have that people can come to you for?
Yeah. So I have this beautiful offering. It's called The Reading, as I was talking about earlier, and it
Mm-hmm.
is using Akashic Records, my mediumship, and also you're going to be in a Reiki bubble during that 60-minute reading. And it's held a lot like a therapy session, and it's two people talking back and forth. And it's having as much fun as possible while discovering yourself and getting clarity and direction on your life in a high vibrational way. So it's one of my, it's honestly, I love it. It touches my heart every time that someone's like, this has profoundly changed my life. And yeah, that's one of my, I'm just like, I get so happy talking about it. My other offering is Quantum Reiki, and I do that in person and online. Same thing with the reading. Quantum Reiki, I'm staring at it right now. I have a bed that's called the Quantum Resonance Bed. It's a frequency bed that has scalar technology, has a magnetic pulse, clear quartz crystals, a bunch of other little crystals that are around it. It has binaural beats. And I sit under it when I'm channeling Reiki to the person in distance, and I channel the bed with me. So it's also a 2-in-1. So you're getting this frequency bed that helps reduce inflammation. It helps with PTSD, brain injuries, sleep disorders, anxiety. It feels a lot like Reiki by itself. And then I'm also channeling Reiki. And Reiki, same thing, helps with PTSD, anything that's bringing up an emotional response, sleep disorders, pain, anxiety. It's a big, intense energy that comes through the screen if you're with me and distance, and then in person as well. So I always let people know, hey, before session, make sure you write some intentions down before session and drink lots of water after and ground. Like go outside, take a nice walk afterwards, because we move a lot of energy. Um, those are my sessions. And then for my courses, I have an online intuitive Reiki Master course, and it's go at your own pace. The reason I even made it was because I noticed that people needed a more, let's say, accessible way to get into Reiki. And once you go at your own pace and you watch all of the videos, you can come for the Q&A attunement. And the attunement is a ceremony where you get attuned to Reiki. And if you have any questions about anything that you went over online, feel free to ask me there. And then we do a practice. We do a Reiki practice together. And so that is my online course. And lastly, I have an Akashic Records live course. It's an intensive, it's 7 weeks long. Only 3 people can join it at a time. And you get one-on-one support and sessions in between that group training. And that's just teaching you how to read the Akashic Records, learn how to tap into your mediumship as well. And if you have any natural intuitive abilities, they come out in those sessions. And you learn how to read the records not only for yourself, for other people, and to just make your life more beautiful. So it's all about helping the person become a whole and complete human in that course. So that's what I got.
And for the Akashic Records live course, like you said, only 3 people at a time. Um, I feel like some people might be asking themselves the question of, but what if I don't know if I'm intuitive or not? What would you tell them?
I love that you asked that question, because we're all intuitive. We are all intuitive. It's just a matter of getting into that deep alpha brainwave state, which we all get there in these sessions. And it's supported with Reiki. Reiki actually gets you into an alpha brainwave state. So for anyone that's nervous that they can't get into that energy, you will. I've trained about 100 people now. Not one person has not been able to tap in. And I've had people who had they've had very strong minds and a lot of doubt. And they've come in and they've been some of the most amazing readers. So that's what I say to people who don't know or think that they're intuitive. You are. All of you are.
Amazing. And how can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Akashic April. And then my website is aprilcurry.mykajabi.com at the moment. It's a long one, but that's what it is.
Oh,
aprilcurry.mykajabi.com.
perfect. And I will link it in the show notes too, so that way people can just tap and get there. Um, all right, April. Well, this is where I hand it over to you to guide us through a mini practice, and the mic is yours.
So, if you are practicing with me today, go ahead and find a nice, comfortable position, space to be able to sit or lay. It's giving you yourself some quiet time. And today I'm going to be doing a Reiki meditation with you with a few channeled messages. And I'm going to help you tap into your higher self today. And quietly just say to yourself, I give April permission to send Reiki and to tap into my records. All right, begin to take some deep belly breaths in and out. And begin to breathe in that loving universal white light energy from above your head. And breathe that energy into the top of the head, the crown chakra. And breathe that energy into the third eye space, the middle of the forehead. And once you begin to feel the energy swirling in those two spaces, begin to feel the energy then go down to the heart space. Feel it then making its way down to the spine, the legs, the feet. And feel the energy make its way down into the ground, down into the core of the earth, creating a nice grounding cord for yourself for this Reiki reading today. And once you feel nice and anchored into this beautiful earth of ours, begin to feel some of that energy come back up into the feet, the legs. Feel the energy shoot up the spine, going to the head, leaving the top of the head, going up into the sky, outer space, the universe, all the way up to the white light, as high as you can take your consciousness. And once you feel nice and connected up there, go ahead and breathe that energy back down into the body, the heart space, and just take note of that grounding cord you created earlier. I'm calling in these viewers, spirit guides, masters, teachers, loved ones, higher self, and higher vibrational beings to come support these viewers' Akashic Records reading and Reiki session. And we thank you for this universal wisdom for these viewers and listeners' highest good and for the highest good of all. These viewers and listeners' Akashic Records are now open. And so it is. And begin to breathe in that loving universal energy from above your head. Go ahead and breathe it into the top of the head, the crown chakra, and the third eye space. While you're focusing on those chakras, just feel the connection between them. And then gently feel that energy go down to the throat and the heart space while staying connected to them. Life has a beautiful way of being busy. And it's so important for you to be able to feel your heart and your connection, to be a witness to it all. To remain calm and at peace. The truest safety is within the heart. Allow yourself to be open to all experiences, to have the courage to watch it all from a witnessing standpoint. And embrace the love of yourself and others. Be unconditionally loving. And that the more that you love yourself, the more that you love others, you open up immense joy of the universe. And that joy will take care of you. It will open up all endless possibilities. Do you have the courage to open up to all possibilities and to let go of old ways of thinking and believing? And I got a little fun message in that. And it was just saying, nothing matters anyway. Just have fun. And begin to feel that energy then go down to the top part of the stomach, the solar plexus, and also the sacral chakra 2 inches below the belly button. And just breathe into that space. Feel the relationship between the solar plexus and the sacral chakra, while still feeling the connection of your crown chakra, the top of the head, the third eye, the throat, and the heart space. Just being very present with your energy. Notice if there's any stagnant or stuck energy in any part of your body as I'm sending Reiki to your solar plexus and your sacral chakra. And once you've located this stuck energy, go ahead and tell that energy to leave that space and face you. And feel it leaving, just coming right in front of you, right in front of your eyes. If you were to give that energy an identity, what does it look like? What does it feel like? What's its texture? And once you've identified it, totally up to you. You can either put it right back where you found it, or if it feels more true to send it off, go ahead and say, please leave and go back up to source. Feel that energy leave the top of the head and go back up to source. And fill that space that it left with just loving white light energy, just to clean up any residue that it may have left over. For a lot of people who are listening, a lot of you are going through major transformations and transitions. And there's this, I'm excited for my new chapter energy coming in. But it's also very important for us to stay present at this time and be grateful for what we have. But I can feel that a lot of people have a fire in the belly. They're really excited to move into this big new version of them. And the message is love every moment of your expansion. It's taken a great deal of learning and energy to get where you are right now. Be appreciative of all the moments. There is a big moment coming. It's undeniable. Make sure to stay present. And then begin to feel the energy then go down to the root chakra, the base of the spine. And the root chakra is also the knees, the legs, the feet. So just really stay in touch with those spaces in your body as I send Reiki there. And noticing how much energy is in the spine from the root chakra to the crown. Just notice how connected you are. And right now, you're in an alpha brainwave state. And this is where intuition is effortlessly accessible. Just stay in this energy. Be present with your breath and your connection. And then go ahead, connect to your higher self. You're feeling the top of your crown chakra buzzing, feeling warm. That's the top of the head. And connect the top of your head, the crown chakra, to your higher self, which is right above you. They have no expectations, no limitations. And to make this connection deeper, you can even say higher self 3 times out loud. So just say higher self, higher self, higher self. And once you connect to your higher self, notice if you can feel them. And if you can see them, are they sitting? Are they standing? Are they smiling? And what are they doing? Just get familiar with them. Notice if they're stoic, if they're happy, if they're jovial. And your higher self is your soul's expression. And the more that you express your higher self down here in earth, the more that everything opens up to you so effortlessly and lovely. So go ahead and ask your higher self, hey, what do I need to focus on right now? And notice if that answer came into a light whisper that you heard, if you felt it and had a knowing, if you just saw it, if you had some words to sprinkle into your brain. However you receive that message is your most prominent intuitive ability. And know that from there, you can have all intuitive abilities. Because if you command energy to do what you want it to do and you have conviction in it, it will give you that ability through energy. So I'll give you an example. So go back to your higher self. And if you received an answer about what to focus on, go ahead, if you want to get sight, and say, hey, show me some examples of what I can do to bring that more into my life. Show me. You'll begin to get an image. And if you're doubting yourself, just put the doubt to the side. We love doubt. It's great discernment, but let's just have fun for now. If you want to get an audio message, ask your higher self, hey, give me an audio messages. Give me some audio messages with some examples of what I should do. And know that you can ask your higher self anything. And this is just the beginning. So I invite you to do this practice as much as possible with yourself. Begin to breathe in that loving white light universal energy from above your head. And breathe it into the entire body. And exhale that energy out of every pore in your body. And begin to feel a beautiful white light Reiki bubble begin to develop with every exhale. Feeling that bubble become thicker and stronger with every breath. Nothing but your highest vibration and highest good can enter this bubble. And it is working for you even when you forget about it, as it is timeless. The viewers and listeners' records are now closed. And begin to just take in some deep breaths. Wiggle your fingertips and your toes. And slowly and gently come back into the body. And open your eyes when you're ready.
Thank you so much for that practice, April.